Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Osama here, and in this video, I'm going to discuss something that's really important on the legal side of things for every business that is using softwares to collect and process information of their leads and contacts. Now, you all know we use GoHighLevel to collect information on leads and nurture them to get into paying customers or clients. And especially when you're working in industries like healthcare or legal, where we have very critical piece of information that is being stored into our account, we want to make sure that we are able to firstly avoid any legal problems, and secondly, if things go south like a client or a customer launches a lawsuit on you, you need to be prepared, right? So how do you make sure that you are getting the right type of consent from people in order to process or use their information? And if somebody tries to mess with you, you are prepared. You have evidence that they complied with your privacy policy and they checked the consent checkbox. So that way you are fully safe. Now, this is by no means any legal advice. This is only intended for informational purposes only, to help you establish compliance around processing leads or contact information. So let's jump straight in and discuss a few things that we should keep in mind. Now, inside of GoHighLevel, you know that under sites, we have funnels and websites, and usually they do contain forms or surveys inside them where we collect information like name, email, phone number. If you're doing service, you would be collecting some more information, like if you are into healthcare, you might be asking for their medical history and things like that, right? Now, it is really important that you do have a consent checkbox on every form. So if I take an example of this form here, which I have created in this sub account, you will see that I have a consent checkbox here where people would tick it, and this is required. And once they do it, they would agree with our privacy policy in terms of service. Now, these things do come by default in every GoHighLevel form, which is good. So every time you get it, you have to make sure that it is linked to your privacy policy in terms of service. And the way you can do that is by clicking here, and then you will just highlight the text where it says privacy policy, click on the three dots, then click on here. And then here you can put the URL to your privacy policy. And by the way, you can also custom value it just like I have done here. So you can easily change it from custom values under settings. Now, let's say you have the privacy policy dialed in, you have the consent checkbox here. How do you ensure that you can filter out the people who did not consent to do it, right? Now, by default, this TNC text, it is not a custom field, it is just a checkbox, and usually it is required by default too. So if anybody does not check it, they will not be able to get started. So in any way, they're agreeing with the privacy policy that you have. So this covers you, and this puts the ball back on the customers, and meaning that they have read the privacy policy and that's why they have agreed, right? So this is one way to ensure it. But if you want to use a custom value, that could be used into workflows, and then you can filter out people and maybe delete a contact after a certain time. This can be done by clicking on this plus icon here. Then you can click on custom field, click on add, then select checkbox from here, go to next, and you can name this consent. And under the option name, we can paste this text, which I got from ChatGPT. And then we're going to click on save here. And now if we search for consent, we should find this here. So now we can put this here. Again, you can replace this as well by merging this, or you can have two of them here. Having both would be a good idea, especially in healthcare and industries like that. So if you click on that, you have to make sure that it is not required, because if you are allowing people to either consent or not to, then you will not have to make it required, right? So if we have it like this and we go ahead and click on save. Now, if we go back and go to automations, I'm going to create a new workflow from here. I will call this compliance, and in the trigger, I would put a contact created. And then here we can put a condition where we actually put the consent custom field, and we say is empty, which means they did not consent to process their information. Then click on save action. Now, based on this, you can decide what you want to do next, right? One good starting point can be that you add a tag here. So you can say add contact tag, consent, no. That is something you can do here. So you add a tag to have a different category. Of course, you can do a smart list out of it as well. And then if it's in your policy that you do not want to proceed with this contact at all, you can also make use of the delete contact here. Or a better thing to do this, to be able to manually review it first, would be to create a manual task. So if I search task here, we can say something like contact name did not consent to get their info processed, something along those lines, right? And then you can assign it to the assigned user or a custom user here. do in, let's say now, or maybe you want to do 1 day. That's up to you. Then click on save action, and then you can decide what you want to do with that contact, right? Now, this way you can filter out these contacts who did not consent, and then you can decide the next steps based on the policy that you have, right? Now you can go ahead, click on publish, and then hit save. And this way you can filter these people out, and then you can ensure compliance around this part. So this was how you can track customer consent and have a few important things in place like privacy policy and having them at the right places in your forms or wherever you are collecting information. Again, this was not a legal advice. This was only for informational purposes and help you understand how you can track consent and how can you make sure that you have things fully dialed in. And if you are in sectors where you are collecting more personalized information like healthcare records, it is advised that you do have HIPAA compliance on, which is an add-on that GoHighLevel provides. By having that, you go to the next step and ensure that you are complying with the health protocols. That was about this video. This is Osama signing off. I'll see you in the next one.